Welcome to episode 44 of Run It Straight, where we answer your questions about how to get better at rugby league. We don't sidestep the difficult topics, but rather give direct, straight up answers. In essence, we run it straight. All right, let's jump straight into our first question. What are some different tackling techniques? All right, so the way we coach, basically two types of tackles which can be broken down further. Essentially, you've got high tackles, and we're not talking about high tackles. We're not talking about hitting someone above the head.
On the top.
So it means making contact from, say, above the hips to essentially just the shoulder or just below the shoulder, right? We break it further down into hitting right in the chest, basically on the ball or at ball height, and the second is when you try and jam up underneath the ball. Those techniques can differ, and the choice of which technique to use in which situation can change depending on how many people are in the tackle with you, whereabouts on the field you are, and the size and the strength of the ball carrier. If you're a little hooker and you've shot up and you haven't got a whole lot of support and you've got a massive middle, you might just cut his legs because you need to make sure that you get the tackle. If you've got support with you and you're moving up to hit together, you're both going to be going up, looking to lock the ball, getting your hips together, getting your feet together. But they're basically the upper body tackle techniques. Lower body tackles, or we call them cutting tackles, which are between the hip and the knee, and between the knee and the ankle. And we would further break them down into front on and side on. I think that's the summary of the different. And look, you should be practicing all of those from young all the way up. Like when you're younger, obviously most of it you just learn to tackle around the legs, learn to get someone down front on cutting, side on cutting. That is harder for some bigger boys. Anyone who's coached 9s or 10s will know they'll have a whole bunch of kids at his side, and there's a massive kid. That kid, you're going to struggle to teach him cutting tackles.
Exactly.
He's going to have to be tackling up
pretty high.
You got to work on making sure those guys aren't actually making high tackles. Anything else you want to chuck in on that?
No, and the biggest thing that I find with defence is actually practicing it enough during the week. Getting your reps in, because a couple things that's going to get your technique down, but it's also going to give people the confidence to be able to get a bigger person down if you're a littler guy, or even if you're a front rower and you have to make a cutting tackle to a winger who's running across the field trying to find space. It's going to give you that confidence to be able to take them down and not really worry about getting injured too much, because you probably see that a lot in junior footy. They don't want to hit with their shoulders, or they don't want to go low.
And that's like you said, it's because they haven't done it enough.
They haven't done it enough, and they don't have the confidence. So practicing all different types of tackles.
If you're coaching, I know it might be fun to do heaps of different cool attacking things with your young footballers. Every week, you got to dedicate at least one session to getting tons of reps in, just reps and reps and reps in closed environments, in open environments. Closed environments is when the attacker just runs a direct line and the defender comes across. There's no palming, there's no bumping, there's no stepping.
Just
so they can get used to making contact, and they can get 10, 12, 15 reps out like that. Then you allow the attacker to put a little bit of movement in. And this is how you build confidence. So in a game, it's not, I've got to make a tackle. It's, okay, he's there, let's get him down, move on the next step. Yeah,
exactly.
All right, next question. How do I maintain or better my fitness towards the back half of the season? First, to maintain or improve, you need to know where you're currently at. I think we talked about this a little bit in the last episode.
Yes.
That's why we recommend performing a Bronco each week. It's like taking your pulse on your fitness levels. It's a nice, easy, straight test. It's the same. It is good for rugby league because there is a lot of stop-start in it. You could do a 3 or a 4K time trial, which is fine, but I prefer the stop-start nature of this. And then the simple thing from that point is you got to put in the work.
Yes.
Like now, we don't, with this question, we don't have more context. Are you 13? Are you 19? Are you a fullback, a halfback, or a front rower? Are you fairly lean, or are you carrying a lot of extra body fat? Because some things, like we might just go and say, let's go do a whole lot of extra cardio. But we need to be careful. If you increase your running too much, you're getting shin splints, getting joint issues, patellar tendonitis issues. These are all things that we've seen when people, they just jump in and get too excited about it. The right way may be a combination of running and then off-feet stuff, cycling, cross-trainer, rower, boxing. Can add in that extra cardio whilst keeping the legs a little bit fresher. Other thing to touch on is getting a little bit leaner. So obviously, yes, you can improve your cardio through doing extra cardio, but if you could drop a kilo or two of body fat as you go further into the season, that's going to make a difference with your fitness because you're not carrying a whole lot of useless weight around. Now, you want to be careful when you're doing that during the season because, you think there's 7 days in the week. You don't want to be in a calorie deficit all week because you're going to be really flat when it comes to your game
day. Exactly.
So you could, if you go Monday to Friday, let's say your games are on a Sunday, Monday to Friday, you eat in a caloric deficit. Saturday, you bring it back up into a slight surplus. And then when you've got your game, you play your game and you eat. But you make sure that over the course of that day, those 5 days are creating more of a deficit than the surplus that you create on the weekend.
Yep.
That way you're in a deficit. Because if you're a big player, dropping 2, 3 or 4 kilos can make a massive difference to your fitness on the field, to you giving a real quality 20 minutes instead of 13 good and then the last 7 you're falling off tackles, you're not getting in the defensive line, you're looking to have a bit of a hide on the blind side and hoping no one darts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Exactly.
Thoughts? Getting fit towards the back end?
Yeah, just getting the work done. As you said, there's no real simple and easy way around it. Bronco's a great way. Doing off-feed, I find in season is a lot better and a lot more suitable for players because you want to stay as fresh as you can for training in the games, and that's a complaint that we get a lot from the boys in the program.
Yep.
My legs are going to be sore. You're going to be sore from the game. It's okay. And off-feed cardio can actually promote some recovery benefits as well.
100%.
It'll make you feel better, and you're getting that cardio and that fitness benefit from it as well.
And that's always the risk with when someone says they want to increase it towards is you're going to add that extra load in at a time when you probably shouldn't because you are playing and you're training. And if you haven't built that up previously, like people can do a massive amount of running during the season and they can be fine if they've slowly built up that tolerance. But to just go and chuck that in there, that's what we're just saying to be careful about. So number 1, test where you're at with your Bronco, increase your cardio. You may need a balance of off feet and on feet, reduce your calories so you're in a calorie deficit for 5 days a week to get some fat loss and retest your Bronco each week like your pulse to ensure that what you're doing is working if it's not changed something.
I find even just playing longer minutes during the game as well, obviously that's out of your control, but if you play 2 extra minutes every week, say starting out at 10 minutes, by round 20 or by round 10 even, 2 extra minutes a week, you're playing 20 minutes rather than 10. That gets your fitness even better. And that's a lot more game specific. Like a Bronco, as Joe said, you can do a 4K time trial. That's great. It's a measure. It's something you can measure each week.
Whatever you do, don't change it up. It's the same thing. If you do a 4K, that's fine.
Stick
Just
to
make
the 4K.
Make sure you do that. And look, I would prefer a Bronco because it's not as taxing as what a 4K would be.
Yeah, and it's a lot more game specific, having a stop, turn around and go again.
And look, it's on grass as well, so there's less impact on the joints. So
exactly.
All right, next question. What do NRL coaches look for in young and upcoming players? That's where we had this exact question.
It felt like a couple episodes ago.
So just to summarise what we said back then, they're looking at size. Height is very, very important. You can't control that. That is what it is. Strength and power, speed, some sort of X factor, something special about them. They're looking for effort on effort. They're looking for punishing defence. They're looking for footwork, hyper-aggression in a controlled manner. If you've got all of the above, attitude, work rate, work off the ball. But I did want to mention something a little bit different. There's a clip going around. I think we're going to share it on our stories. Spiro will take care of that. It talks, the fellow, I can't even remember the guy's name, but he's talking about Craig Bellamy and what Bellamy looks for from a young player. And obviously they're looking for all of those things or you're not in the conversation to start with. But what he found was that well, this guy was relaying the story, and he was saying Bellamy wants to sit and have a coffee with these guys, and so they come down, and he looks for 2 things. A, when the server comes over and asks what it is that they want, does the person say please? And when they bring the coffee or whatever they're eating or whatever, do they say thank you? Reason being is he talks about how, if you've got a good squad and a good coach, you can make the semis. But the difference between making the semis and then going a long way or winning a grand final, he said the biggest difference is the team that wins is the team that has the least amount of off-field issues. And so that comes down to character. And that's something we talk about all the time, about why character is important. Unless you're ridiculously talented, you're going to have to work for years and years to get big, strong, skillful enough to maximize your ability. And the only way to do that is to build character. True? 100%. So one way or another, either it's going to get you there or it's going to get you across the line. It's to choose to turn TikTok off, to turn the PlayStation off, to set goals and to go after them. That's what character is. So if you really want to see what you're capable of, it's never going to work if you're addicted to your phone, if you're addicted to video games, if you're addicted to food, if you're a slave to your passions, so to speak. Put your goals front and center in your life And then if you're going to get addicted to pursuing those.
Yep. Put that at the forefront of your
100%.
of your being. You know, you're waking up every day, driving and striving towards that goal. That's probably the best thing.
So character. We say it all the time.
Character.
That's just another. It was great to see one of the greatest coaches ever. He's in the top 2 or 3.
Yep.
You're talking about exactly the same thing. And I know they do it down there whenever new players. It doesn't matter if you're 30-year-old or if you're 18-year-old and you sign up with their squad. They go in there, make him work. Is it 1 week or 2 weeks?
They do a trade
doing a physical
Yep.
labouring job, so they can realise, look, this is the alternative. If you screw up, if you screw around, if you off the field, you're not doing the right thing.
Yep.
This is where you could be spending the rest of your life. So be thankful for the opportunity and put absolutely everything that you have into that opportunity.
Yeah, for that first couple of weeks, they actually go back to a schedule of a cup player or a 20s player. They go to work in the morning till about 3 o'clock and then have their sessions after training. So it's actually a good wake-up call. And as you said, it builds that character. And that's why Melbourne over the last 20 years have had the team and have had the success that they've had.
Yep.
You know, obviously it's a good organisation, it's the coach, but they've obviously got the characters in that organisation and probably get rid of a couple characters outside, you know, to get rid of them.
Yep. You do see it, you think, why have they let that guy go? And you know, that's why they've let that guy go.
Yep, exactly.
All right, the end of another episode. All right, guys, please send your questions in. Please give as much detail as you can. Give us a like, give us a follow, get your friends to watch, and we will see you in the next one.